We experienced major technical difficulties during the recording of this interview, which resulted in less than optimal audio. We extend apologies to you, our audience, and to our guest.
If you're just now tuning in, welcome to another episode of Backroom Beats, doing a winter storm. I am your host, Lamar Harris, hanging out with
CJ Conrad.
And we are excited that you joined us today. And as always, make sure you take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. Make sure you also follow us on Instagram. And make sure that you follow our artist for today.
Yes.
Who is our artist for the day?
Well, this one here, she hails from Texas, currently in Brooklyn. She is 1/5 of the foreign exchange, but don't sleep on her as a solo artist, because that's what we're here to talk about today. It's none other than Carmen Rodgers.
Wow.
Show us some love. Ooh, how you doing, ma'am? Good. It's been a minute since we've crossed paths.
I'm happy to be here.
So much to talk about, I feel like. Oh my goodness.
Because it's been so long.
Because it has been so long, yeah.
Last time I saw you in person, New Year's Eve.
You remember?
I sure do.
That's what's up. My people say hey to you, by the way.
Oh, tell everyone I said hello.
Will do.
That's family.
Will do. Let's just jump straight into this new project. I just want to go there because
I love it. Let's jump in.
Let's just go. It's called Hello Human Volume 1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it's getting a lot of traction.
It is.
Which do you think?
It's getting a lot of traction. It's getting a lot of love. Wasn't sure what to expect releasing music during a panini, but hey, I could not have asked for a better opening less than week, lots of love from my tried and true, from the ones that brung me, but also a lot of new people have discovered me from this music, and I'm super grateful. I really was really frightened about releasing. So I was like, now the world is on fire. What does this mean? But I'm actually glad I did it when I did it.
Yeah. I mean, it's been, about 6 years since Stargazing?
Yeah, it's been almost 6 years since Stargazer. That's a long time. But of course, the what was that? Tales from the Land of Milk and Honey, the FE project dropped in 2016, and then the work I did with Zoe dropped later in 2016, and FE compilation dropped the following year, and then another Zoe the next year, and then all of these other features and stuff I've done in between, and of course the touring.
So basically, you've been too busy to drop new music, is what you're saying.
Yes. So I've been busy doing music and touring, of course, but that's why it was really important to me to get this out as soon as possible. And it's delayed because this was supposed to be out in spring of 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, but
What was some of the inspirations for the project? Like, what just kind of pushed you to just want to drop it like right then and there?
Well, I would say that it was really just because it was already so delayed. I started working on this project officially in 2019. I've been talking about it for 2 years before, but officially started working on it in 2019. Looking to put it out in spring of 2020, in late spring 2020, but the world shut down, and so there was a pause, and I thought, okay, we weren't sure what was happening, but hopeful that things would pick up, but things didn't pick up, and things got a little bit scary, and so I think that I took that time to rest. I took the time to reconnect with myself and my friends and my family, and then I had to kind of get restored because I really lost all motivation. I was not inspired to do anything. And so I had to kind of find that inspiration again to finish writing, to write new stuff, to get my voice back, to get my, kind of confidence back too, because just not being on the road and not being in the studio, I was like, ooh, maybe I'm not supposed to do this anymore. From when you sit stagnant, you start questioning yourself sometimes. So that was a little bit of questioning, but my people say, girl, please, you know what you do. You do this, and encourage me to keep things moving. And so now it's here. It's finally here, and I'm just excited. It was delayed, but not denied.
Hallelujah.
That's what's up.
Man, I've been like low key standing since like 2008, I believe, the first time you came to St. Louis, and I'm just like, more than anything, I think I'm blown away by your writing. Your writing is just, I don't even have words for it. It's easy to connect to. You know what I'm saying? Like the new project hasn't even been out a whole week, and then when I hear stuff, I'm ready to just jump in and sing with you. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you know this much of this song already? It's just that hooky, that catchy. It seems like. What would you attribute your writing to at this point?
I would say that words and storytelling has always been important for me. Always been important to me. I'm an avid reader. I love storytelling. I love TV. I love movies. Storytelling, I love visual art. Storytelling in whatever form it comes in makes me happy. So I, as a songwriter, try to translate that with song. The way that I love to receive it, I try to translate that as a songwriter. I really, really think storytelling is such an important part of music. There's so many ways people enjoy music. Some people really just enjoy music for the beats. They really, if it makes them groove, they don't care what's being said. If it makes them nod, they don't care what's being said. But I'm from a class of musicians and artists. I think that really believe that storytelling is of value and is long lasting. And so I want to not only tell the story, but I want people to really be able to like reference it and go back to it and connect with it. I believe that you can connect with the beat and you can make you move in the moment, but the story will live on after the beat. So I think that's what's just always been important for me. Even as a little girl, I was just intrigued by great storytellers. Funny thing, like one of my favorite artists growing up was James Taylor. I was obsessed with him. Literally thought he was an angel. His voice was angelic to me. I just thought he was an angel. But I loved how he told stories. And so he was one of the early storytellers for me, and then Stevie Wonder. And of course, Prince. They could paint these pictures. They could put you, it was like a movie. I was obsessed. So as I started really getting into my craft, I started learning early on, like that was one of my favorite parts of songwriting. I love melody writing, but for me, it's like, okay, what's the story I'm trying to tell?
I think you may be the first artist that we've talked to so far that really stressed the idea of storytelling. And I'm like, now that you say it, I go, that is the thread between all these projects, I think, is that there's these vignettes of characters. Yeah, I hadn't really considered that.
Thank you.
Let's go here. I'm going to thread this all together in just a second. I'm going to go slightly divergent here. When The Land of Milk and Honey came out, I was like flabbergasted because I was like, Carmen? Like, where did this come from? And I was like, and then you're on the cover. So
do you mean the music or the dress?
A little of both. A little of both, but it was just like, wow, it's like, it's one thing, because I mean, people have been featured on their projects, people have, toured with them, but when you're on the cover with them, you're officially a part of the group, you know what I mean? And it was like, what was that like to get that call, and what was that journey like for you?
That was a shift. That was very, very interesting, because I got the call initially years before from Fontaine. So, first, just like, hey, we friends, and we followed each other's music for a long time. My debut album, Free, and FE's debut album, Connected, came out months apart in 2004. And from then on, like, we were, I think in a way, Fonte and I were tethered as far as being fans of one another. I was a fan of the Foreign Exchange, he was a fan of me. So we were like Twitter friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then we met in real life for the first time in 2010. They invited me to a show. I came backstage. And when I walked backstage, Fonte was like, love, which is the closing song on my debut album. And I was just like, oh, that's so sweet. And so met them, we hung out, it was all love, all family from then on. And so we stayed in touch. And then I would say like maybe a year and a half later or so, Zoe was like, let's do some songs, let's do some shows together. I was like, sure. Fonte was like, well, let's get in the studio. Let's see what's up in the studio. So I go to record 2 songs for Zoe and 1 song for the Foreign Exchange, write and record those songs. And the first song I recorded, it was literally during one group, was the Anthony David duet, Show Me the Way Back, the B-side with Nicholas Ryan Gant, Choice of Weapons, and then what is it? Why do I always forget the title? I always forget the title because it's kind of sort of the name of the song, which is, I say Feel So Good, Love's Flying High, but it's the opening.
Oh, if I knew then what I know now.
Thank you. If I knew then, right? And so Fonte and I had such great chemistry in the studio together. It was funny because by the end of the week, he was like, it'd be ridiculous for you to stay. And I was like, I know I gotta go home and be a mom and do all these things, but we were just like, okay, we vibe in the studio, get it. And so he was just like, it was maybe a few months later, he was like, yo, get on the road with us. And so that's when I started touring with the Foreign Exchange, and we became family, and they just made a decision that this was the crew. This is it. And he didn't want to replace nobody else. He didn't want nobody, this was it. And so I think he wanted to cement that with that cover. Just like there's no other FE cover with even them on the cover.
True, right.
So with him adding me and Zoe and Tanisha, with he and Nicolay, I should say, because they're partners in this, adding us to the cover meant so much. To say, this is our family, this is crew. And of course, though that family still extends, they're still gonna have their features. They're still gonna have their people that will always do music with the Foreign Exchange. But as far as kind of the core, him cementing that was really, really, really dope. So it's definitely been a journey. Now I'm, almost 8 years in, I guess. Wow. Almost 9. Geez, I don't even know. Time just keeps flying. But I'm making music and touring and, and doing side projects and demo projects and working on TV stuff. Like, we've done a lot of stuff behind the scenes that have nothing to do with Foreign Exchange either. Just continuing to kind of push music forward and push our careers forward and expand outside of just having to be on stage. So it's been some fun.
How's it been being an indie artist? Like, do you feel like at times it's been a little bit of a struggle versus like being in the whole mainstream? Like, what are some of the pitfalls that you run into as an indie artist sometimes?
Yeah, I would just say having to do all the work yourself. It's a lot. That hat you have to take off so many hats continuously and literally go from creative to strategic to business to creative to create to strategy and it's like, okay, the focus and the amount of work that it takes to just put out an album.
Yes.
We're not talking about the songwriting, the recording, the mixing, the mastering. Then there's a whole process to put out and market and promote an album. Then you still have to do shows and plan shows. And now we have this whole dilemma of everything being done from home. So now you have to produce your own visual content. Live shows. I mean, it's ridiculous, y'all. The amount of work that it takes to be an artist, but specifically an indie artist. And so I think so many times people see like the finished product and they're like, "Oh, that was fun." Yeah.
Not for real.
In the middle of all that.
When you finally get to the moment, when you finally get to the moment of, hey, yeah, that's fun. But there's a million things to lead up to that moment. So I think part of one of the biggest pitfalls is just how much it takes to get to the moment. I think that's the I've never thought of it that way or said it that way, but there's so much work to get to the moment that you enjoy.
That's a message.
No, I know it to be true. Goodness, that's why. I mean, I understand why it takes years to get to where you're going. Quite honestly, that's why I don't rush anybody. I'm like, when you put it out, that's when I'll buy it. Amen. The end.
Amen. Let me tell you, it is. Plus you live it.
Right.
Like between all of that, you are living. So I appreciate anyone that does this and continues to do this. You know, I wish all of us can't be like, you can ask anybody in our circle. Fonte is a workhorse. Like the amount of music he creates, produces on top of the other, sometimes I just can't. I'm like, I gotta go to sleep. We be in the studio and I just be like, look, you have fun. I'm going to bed, you know, type of situation. But I really do think he's definitely, if he's not a genius, he's right there in the precipice of a genius, because I sometimes look at him in awe, just like, I don't know how you get all this done and how you get it done at such a level, because it's not like it's just bullshit. It's actually good stuff. So, so for those of us that take a little while longer to get to the thing, I'm just like, look, I empathize with us because it's a lot of work to get to that moment.
What drives you just to keep going every day and just stay in the hustle with this?
You know what? I think it's because I actually love music. You know, I love creating. I think, Eric Roberson said it as an album title. I'm a music fan first. And that's something that is never going to go away. Like, I think about music from the moment I wake up until the moment I go to sleep. And trying to push music forward in some way, form, or fashion is what I feel like I was put here to do. And, you know, everyone's level of success may differ, but I have seen the world on my gift. And I may not be a household name today, but even though I have not or may not be, I know that my music has impacted people. And I know that it's changed my life. Like, music has changed my life. And then the music I've created has changed my life on top of, I know, changing some other people's lives. And so I do it for the love. You know, if I no longer love it, I would stop doing it. But I still love it. So I'm going to keep doing it.
That's what's up.
Well, let me ask you this. They say iron sharpens iron. And I'm wondering, do you feel as though your time with the Foreign Exchange has developed your songwriting and your artistry in a way that you wouldn't have? Okay.
Absolutely. It's writing as quickly as we do. It's writing as purposefully as we do. And then again, it's watching a master. Like, writing with Fonte is kind of a masterwork. And again, we have good chemistry because we listen to each other, and we both, I think, consider ourselves storytellers. I mean, he's one of the greatest MCs ever, and that's an MC. And then he's also got this whole musical brain as well, as far as a singer-songwriter. And so I think, you know, doing that, you know, getting closer to Cy Smith, and she's always, you know, Cy is a dope-ass storyteller and songwriter and singer, and just being in spaces where it matters, where the songs matter, you know, not just the vibe, but the actual songs matter. It's just very, very different working with people like Nicolay, who literally is a Wikipedia of Prince. Wow. He's a Wikipedia of Prince. And he knows all kinds of music. all kinds of music, musicians, producers, multi-instrumentalists, bands, Nicolet's knowledge of music is just, but he's a Wikipedia of Prince. And so
I wouldn't have guessed
having
that.
Prince conversations about performance and artistry and songwriting, Fonte and Zoe, all of them they are literal encyclopedias. I'll just take it even further back than Wikipedia. They are encyclopedias of music knowledge.
Wow.
Being on tour alone with them is a masterclass.
Wow.
Just being on the road, but not on stage. In between stage, when we're on the road and listening to, and we get to play our playlist, and whoever takes over, the radio at that point with their playlist, and us introducing music into each other's lives. You can't help but grow, especially when you hear where their vocabulary comes from. It's like, I need to expand mine too.
Wow.
You can't just kick it with them and be all right.
Well.
That's real.
Oh my goodness, that makes a lot of sense. My goodness. I want to go somewhere again. Another quick deviation because I'm like I said, I love your entire catalog, but there's one song that I've always been like, and that song is "It's Me" off the Bittersweet. And the reason why I say that is because there is literally no way I can play that song once. It's like if it plays, then I'm gonna have to play it again. I've played it like easily. I can play it like about 10 times before I go, okay, that's enough of that. Come out of that hole. And I'm just like, I love. Again, it's the storytelling. It's like I think anyone who's heard it can relate to being in love with someone who doesn't see that you're there for them, just that doesn't see that you're, like, they're so wrapped up in their own issues and their own baggage that they can't realize that you're trying to love them. And I'm just like, how? Where did that come from?
See?
Oh, is it too deep? If it's too deep, don't do it.
You know what? It's Me is one of my favorite songs I've ever written. Like, I can name my top 5 songs that I've written, and It's Me is top 3, if not number 2, maybe number 1. I it really depends on the day. And honestly, it would have been number 1 until one of the songs that I wrote on my new album that I was in tears writing as I was writing it. We'll get to that later, but It's Me came from relationship hurt. Being in a relationship with someone that was just so, I possibly insecure, possibly, for whatever reason, felt inadequate, whatever was going on with him. All I was trying to do was shake him and be like, I love you. Look at me. Why are you looking elsewhere for whatever your needs are? And so after that relationship failed, I just remember one day just being in the shower, and I'd already gotten this track from a producer out of Dallas Fort Worth named Ernie G, and I heard the track. He actually came to my job, played the track for me in the car at the time, and I was like, I want this track. I have no clue what I'm going to do with it, but whatever I do with it, it's going to be magnificent.
That's what's up.
And one day, I was in the shower, and all the words came to me. It came over me in such a whoosh that I got out of the shower wet, ran around my house looking for a pen so that I could just write, and I just wrote the song right then. It was just that swift. Wow. It took a minute, and then until it didn't. And I wrote the song so quickly. And it was because I had finally resolved in that moment, like, what the feeling was of the song. And what that feeling was, a feeling of being invisible to your partner. Like, fully present. You're fully present, but they are consumed by whatever that lack is. And you're just like, over here. And I'm like, but I'm trying to reach you and you won't let me in. Like the lyrics say, I'm trying to reach you. You just won't let me in, And I'm just screaming, but it's me. If you could just see me, if you could look beyond yourself and just see me. But the song is also a song that's kind of like what do you call it? A cautionary tale. Because you can't change nobody.
Now you preaching.
Nope.
I can say it's me all day long. Like, look, but I can't make you a better person.
At all.
You got to decide that for you. Like, I can't heal you. You have to decide you want healing yourself. I can't make you feel inadequate by telling you, you're great, you're handsome, you're amazing. I can give you every affirmation, all the validation in the world, but none of that matters if you don't feel it for yourself.
It's real.
So the song is also a song of this woman yelling to be seen and heard and not be invisible. But even if he were to see you, it still doesn't matter if he's still not ready, if he's still not ready to see and not ready to change, not ready to feel that he is enough. So yeah, it's one of those songs. It's funny because whenever I perform that song, I know I go in because I do go back to a moment, and people, it does not matter when I do that song. If there's a new person in the audience, new people in the audience, they always say, "Oh my God,
that song."
My box is usually flooded. Someone at least once a week says, "Hey, that song, that was my life, that was my story." So it's one of my favorite songs because I feel like it connects with, it connects with men and women, but women on a very, in a very specific and special way.
Yeah. And I think what really got me was when I finally saw the video. I was like, it's a totally different interpretation, but at the same time, it's still that I'm invisible aspect. I was like, wow, this is haunting. Literally.
Haunting. I can never be totally on the nose with a video. I'm shooting a couple of videos in a couple of weeks. And one of the concepts is very not on the nose,
really?
But you will still, it's a metaphor for the entire song that I think people are going to find lots of fun.
Okay. Even with being like a storyteller.
That's me right now.
Even with being like a storyteller, like how much of like those personal experiences do you just pull from like yourself and from like people around you to incorporate into the song?
Yeah, I would say a lot. Every song's not about me. Every song's not about, my happiness or my sadness or what I accomplished. I'm a storyteller, so I tell other people's stories too. And I observe people. I study people.
People watching.
My degree's in psychology, and that goes into
that says a lot.
How I write songs, and so people fascinate me. How people love, how people relate, how people make decisions, all of that fascinates me. And so at some point, it ends up in my writing. So I would say, of course, personal experiences, that's it. I can't help but write some of that into it. But, some of those experiences are universal.
I just sit quietly. Psychologist at work.
Right. Now you're being studied.
They're like, I don't want no song written about me.
Exactly.
Is that what?
Like, hold up, let me not do too much.
I'll tell you about this podcast I was on today.
Right. Let me ask you, let's go back to this, the new project. Now that we know all this background and all the things that come before it, there's so many good songs. First let's go to Again and Again, because when you put that out by itself, I was like, I done waited 6 years and all I get is a single. But then when I bought the single, I said, oh, this is nearly a 7-minute journey. I said, okay, well, I'll take this for now. I will.
And it was just to make you salivate. It was just an appetizer.
Mission accomplished.
Because, it was not 3.5 minutes. That song is a journey. Nicolay produced, my brother from the Foreign Exchange, and we talked about it. He said, so you want to do the whole? I said, I sure do. And so he was just like, you're brave for putting out this whole song. He said, that's my girl. Because, he likes to, definitely go against the grain as well. And And, you know, when you think about radio, when you think about songs that tend to get pushed to popularity, those songs are definitely 4 minutes or less. It's the Motown formula. But this song, I wanted it to be a journey. I wanted it to be an experience, and I wanted there to be a mood that changes. And so I wanted people to feel all of that. And Nicolay bodied that track. And so I was like, I want everybody to experience every single second of this. So yeah, almost 7 minutes of deliciousness.
And you're right. He literally does what he does best on that, because it's real vibey, and then all of a sudden it just goes into this like drum and bass like ambient thing. That's like, well, what's going on now? Right. Almost like a whole nother song.
It is. It's like 2 in 1. See, it's like a maxi single.
Ooh. So whenever we get back to touring, hopefully you are coming to St. Louis or to the Midwest that we can definitely catch you at. You know, I'm just curious, like, what's some of the other collaborations you're working on, like, going forward? Are you thinking about maybe, like, collaborating with people, if I may ask?
You know, I don't want to say yet, but I will soon. You know, we're less than a week into Hello Human Volume 1, and so I don't want to tell the beautiful things that are going to happen with Volume 2 that will be out later this year. But definitely that project is going to be much more collaborative. You're going to hear some of your faves, and we're going to leave it at that for now. I'm excited about it. It was important to me, though, for Volume 1, with me, this being the first time I put out solo music in so long, that people got to hear Carmen Rodgers' voice. Because I've been doing so many collaborations, and of course, with the Foreign Exchange being such a big part of my musical life and career the past few years, I wanted to make sure people were able to identify me by myself.
That's what's up.
And have, you know, an identity outside of the Foreign Exchange. So I was very deliberate with this first project being mostly my voice. Like, I wrote all the songs. You know, and didn't have not a feature. Of course, I consider Nicolay producing an exciting feature, but as far as other vocalists featured, I wanted to make sure that was not what we were doing. And I know it's how people are driving their brand now, you know, by doing a whole lot of duets and features. We're gonna get to that. But I think it was just important with me being gone as a solo artist for so long that people were just like, okay, who is Carmen Rodgers? What's her voice? Okay, that's who she is. I can dig that. Okay, more to come. Oh, and she brought the homies. Okay, so yeah, so that's what I'm hoping will happen later this year when Volume 2 comes out.
That's what's up.
But
rub your hands for Hello Human Volume 2. Rub those hands together. I'm
already ready. But let's stay on Volume 1. You mentioned people knowing your voice. I'm glad you did that, because I thought I knew your voice till I got to Say So, and then I said, "What is this? This deep, gravelly, gritty tone?" I said, "What are we doing here?" It's like
that song is so crazy. That's now in my top 5 of my songs I've ever written. That song was inspired literally by a Clubhouse conversation. You know, y'all been hearing about Clubhouse. I'm sure you know this app that's only the iPhoneers get to participate in right now. And I've been a beta user since August. So I was on Clubhouse. It's probably 5 million plus people there now, but I was on there when there were less than 10,000 people. And it was a very interesting and intimate environment. But a friend of mine created this club and this event every Monday called Manifestation Mondays. So I would go into this room on Clubhouse and listen to people talk about what they're trying to manifest, you know, dreams and changes in their lives and all of these things. And one day I was listening in and I was thinking about all of the people, including myself, who have denied, who have not been honest about the things that they really desire because they didn't believe that they could make it happen anymore. So they'd be like, oh, no, I don't want children, because maybe they're later in their life and they don't have a partner and they think they've missed their window. Or, you know, oh, I don't want a partner. You know, I'm good being single, because they believe that maybe their partner isn't out there, or you know what, I'm fine with the job that I have because they think that if they start that business, they will fail. You know, I just think about how sometimes we lie to ourselves and we put on this facade of this, I'm strong, I'm fine, this is good, when they really want so much more. And so that was how I wrote that song. I was literally writing that song on Deanna's Cook's floor and crying.
Oh, wow.
I wrote that song in less than 20 minutes.
Really?
And I was just like, wow. It another one that kind of like poured out of me. It was just, I knew exactly what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. And I was just like, and I was ministering to myself, just like, girl, you want more, and it's okay. And you can say it and you can make it happen. So if you want it, but you got to say so. You can't pretend, because those words have so much power.
Wow.
So voicing the things that you actually want. So that song is really a song about manifestation, about if you want it, you got to say it first. Before you even get to go after it, it can't be quiet. It can't be something that you swallow and keeping to yourself. If you don't voice it, if you don't say it and make it plain, things that you don't voice don't happen. It just doesn't. It don't happen. And so I had to really come to terms with what I wanted with my life and with my career, and say, you want this, Carmen. So you got to say it. Make it, be honest with yourself. You want it. So you got to say so that you can make it happen. So yeah, that song is so important to me, and it's connecting with people so quickly. And while I was in the studio, the last thing on that, when you were talking about that rasping, I was in the basement. Yes, I was singing in the basement. That is the lowest I've ever sang in my life. And
I'm thinking,
I was like, can I do this? When I was singing it for Deanna's in the studio, he was like, wow, oh my God, because he was surprised at the melody that I heard to the track. He gave me that track and I said, this is killing, I want it, let's do this. And when I sang the melody to it, he was like, oh, wow. He couldn't even believe it. I said, okay, well, this is really low. I've never done anything like this before. I was like, what would Layla do? What would Layla do? What would Layla do? So we literally summoned Layla in the studio that day. And I got to tell her that last Friday, by the way, which was really, really dope. And I felt like I summoned Layla and I sang all the way into the basement. And I'm so proud of myself, and I'm proud of that song.
You did that. You did that for sure. Do you think that the weight of the message made it get down that low for you?
CJ, I think so. You know what? Honestly, yes. I think that was a big part of it. Because there is a weightiness to that song, and there is a weightiness to when you're about to explode, because you know you want something so bad and you've been pushing it down and keeping it quiet and pretending. So yeah, I believe that might have helped. Thank you.
Yeah, you can use that on other interviews.
I'm sure, I sure will. Thanks. Appreciate that IP.
Oh my goodness.
I know it sounds crazy to maybe say, but have you ever thought about like doing like writing like a whole like musical theater thing? Like seriously from start to finish, like Hamilton. Like when you were talking, that's what just flashed across my little brain.
So this is interesting that you asked this. So I've been doing other projects as well, including working on a couple of scripts that are being shot as we speak. That's actually been happening for the past 2 years. That's another reason there's been a little bit of a pause, because I am looking to dig deeper into TV. Besides, it's been fantastic to have songs placed on TV, but I want actual scripts placed in TV because I have a lot of ideas. I think I'm creative. I have an amazing writing partner who's just a G. She's really the writer. I'm just the ideas girl. But so I've been working on a couple of scripts, but I also started a musical last year too. Wow. It's so crazy that you asked that. I can't tell you the premise yet though, because I got to work out the kinks. But let me tell you, when this happens,
manifest.
It's going to be something that's special and something that's going to be like, wow.
That's what's up.
That's on Broadway. So,
oh.
Yeah. Cheers.
Just saying.
Wow.
I feel like we get so many exclusives.
I mean, right. I'm just sitting there like, we may have to like edit out some of this and then hold on to it.
You ask the right questions, you
That's
get the
it.
right answers.
That's it.
You know, I get excited when I do a lot of these interviews. I've done so many interviews and I have so many more on my calendar. But sometimes, you get the same questions over and over. So I'm like, well, here's the canned response. But to be asked thoughtful questions that make me say, let me explore. That's exciting for us. So I appreciate y'all for being thoughtful and asking things outside of just the basics when it comes to what we do.
Oh, well, I mean, when we're interviewing folks that feel like family, I mean, why ask generic questions? Let's just go for the real stuff,
Right.
Let's go all the way in.
Mm-hmm. All the way.
We're here for the dinner. We're here for the dinner.
Whew.
Man. So where can everybody find you at? Where can they find all the music?
So easy peasy. Y'all, I need y'all to remember my last name got a D in it. That's one of the most important things, that my name is Carmen Rodgers, Rodgers. So good news, I am at Carmen Rodgers on Twitter and on Instagram. So CarmenRodgers, don't forget the D. Then my website is iamcarmenrodgers.com. On Facebook, Carmen Rodgers Fans. Then, of course, the music is available digitally everywhere. So all of the digital sites, as well as Bandcamp, which is an artist favorite because they are artist advocates. They give us, even outside of Bandcamp Friday, they give us one of the largest lion's share of the work that we do and not keep it for themselves. So we definitely advocate for Bandcamp because they pay artists. and so they advocate for us, so we advocate for them. Carmen Rodgers, if you put in CarmenRodgers, you will find me.
Wow. And definitely make sure you go buy the album on all platforms. Feel free to buy it again and buy it a third time.
Buy it for friends.
Hello Human, Volume 1.
Yes.
Hello Human, Volume 1, available everywhere digital music is sold.
You got a Patreon?
Not yet. I'll think about it. On Patreon, you gotta do stuff
all the time.
I'm like, what I'm gonna do? I've done it.
Just tell.
Y'all better take this music, go sit down.
I mean,
I can't be Eric Roberson and all over the place everywhere at the same time. I love that man. He is so hardworking and will create all the freestyles. I'd be like, I'm just tired watching him. So I don't know if they will ever see me on Patreon because I really believe also that if you're going to pay for something, if you're going to pay me for something as a subscription, then I need to be consistent with what I give you.
That's real.
And I can't keep that promise. So y'all can catch me on IG Live when I want to do my Taco Tuesdays and Carmen's Cocina. I'll do those. I'll do some Meatless Mondays in Carmen's Cocina. I'll get on and run my mouth, but that's just when I feel like it, And so that's the thing with IG Live. You can do stuff when you feel like it versus when somebody's paying a subscription, you gonna do stuff when they feel like it. And I want a little more autonomy over my life.
I heard that.
That's real.
Well, Carmen, we definitely appreciate you giving us your time, you sharing all of these stories and this insight, and I'm just happy for everything that's already come and the things that are yet.
Yes.
Thank you. I cannot wait to share all the things, but I gotta keep my mouth shut.
Soon enough.
So
but y'all just follow me on all the things so that you can keep up because it's gonna be some cool stuff happening in the next few weeks.
Cool.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. And this has been another great and wonderful episode with Backroom Beats with the great, wonderful, talented, creative scriptwriter, Carmen Rodgers with the D. It's not silent.
With the D.
Don't forget the D.
I'm Lamar Harris, and this is
CJ Conrad as always.
And until next time, we'll get it. Peace.